All right, excellent. Thank you. This is the Traffic Management Advisory Committee for Wednesday, March 8th. It is 7:05, called to order. I want to do a roll call so we can verify we have quorum. Tom Ryder.
Here, present.
Lieutenant McGrath.
Here.
Gus Gerson.
Present.
And we have Donna Mullen on the line.
Here.
Excellent. And Justin McCullen, I am present. So I see 5 out of the 9, which I do demonstrate as quorum. So thank you, everybody, for coming. I know we have a short meeting this evening, but we're going to kind of move on. I know that the minutes are not ready from last meeting, so what we'll do is we'll push those to the next meeting to approve them. So no issues with that. As far as we don't have our technical advisor Bob Wilson here tonight for the status report. I can confirm that the radar speed sign on Marked Tree Road has been installed and working properly as of Monday. So everything is good there. So we were able to get that. I don't have an update on the other items that we talked about last time, but we will get that from Bob. So if there's any objection, we can move on to the next item, which is Ms. Christy Daly. So welcome.
Hi, thank you.
You can either at the podium or we can sit down in the chair. I don't know what you feel comfortable with doing.
I might need to point, so.
That's fine.
is it okay if
That's
I
fine. You
stand?
can point
Okay.
away.
Pull up for it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So I'm Christy Daly. I live at 132 Fair Oaks Park, which is this corner right here of Great Plain and Fair Oaks Park. We moved to Needham in July of 2019. And in our time there, we have 3 kids and 2 dogs, I should say. And my husband works from home. I'm a stay-at-home mom. We're home a lot. We're in our yard a lot. We're outside a lot. In that time, I can think of at least 4 accidents I've witnessed. One I was not there for, but our dog sitter told us about. And there was a pandemic and people weren't driving that much. So I feel like that's a lot of accidents on that intersection in a short period of time. So the last one, the most recent one was January. It was like dusk and a car was making the turn. Yeah, excuse my like very rudimentary map. I should have done Fair Oaks differently with the median in between, but it was making the turn from the Webster direction and kind of came up on the sidewalk on this side of Fair Oaks. So I have 3 kids. Again, one's at high school, one's at Pollard, and one is at Newman. And I'm just worried about the impact of these accidents and the sidewalks in the area. I don't 100% know what the correct, remediation is or what I'm proposing per se. I just feel like that intersection really needs to be evaluated. And I can tell you just upon observation, some of the things that I think contribute to this being a tricky intersection. So I've tried, I'm sorry if I'm standing in your way, but I've tried to just do a quick, we took a walk and assessed where there are crosswalks, where there are flashing crosswalks, where there are traffic lights. So the green is just a crosswalk. I didn't do the sidewalks parallel to Great Plain. This is more about when you're crossing over the busier roads, Webster and Great Plain. So this is a new one at Warren, the crossing crosswalk with the flashing lights. And then of course the red are the traffic lights and the blue is where I'm proposing we do something. Again, I'm not 100% sure what that something is. So as far as the accidents go, some of the reasons I've seen are cars leaving town, looking at the light at the intersection of Webster, seeing that it's still green and just kind of maybe not observing what's happening around them, cars turning. I think the accident I was not there for in December because there was some damage to our fence and our neighbor's fence across. I think a car was crossing maybe, and it pushed one car up here and one car over there. So I don't know if it's, signaling like, look ahead, the light is red. I forget how the wordage, the verbiage of that. I don't know if, a sign like that was maybe back here and said, the light is changing or signaled them would be helpful in that direction. So that's one part. The second part is in the mornings or during traffic time for school pickup and drop off, the light gets backed up all the way till like this intersection or slightly before. And so there, I think that the cars coming in this, I would say the cars, it most affects the cars coming in this direction, trying to cross over Great Plain. They can't see past the backup of cars, so they kind of inch out, and sometimes they think they can go, but a car from Webster is coming too fast. And so I've seen a few accidents, again, minor accidents, but sometimes they affect the sidewalks, and I'm just concerned about the amount of pedestrian traffic and what that impact will be. So I know, because I drop off at Pollard sometimes in inclement weather, I know a lot of parents go from Pollard down Harris, and instead of going up Webster, take Great Plain to the high school to do their second drop off. There's a good amount of kids that do the walk. I would say more so to the high school than to Pollard on Fair Oaks. I haven't actually counted. I would say I've seen about 15 on a regular basis that walk up Great Plain to get to the high school. So it's just kind of the combination of both, and just feeling like maybe we could surface that area better and safer. So any questions? Has it ever been assessed before that you know of, or when you were putting in the blinking pedestrian traffic here, was that intersection talked about also?
I can't, so unfortunately, our technical advisor, who actually does a lot of the presentation to the committee with regards to the historical content,
Okay,
isn't here this evening.
Okay.
So no, and this is something that if we may have a tabling, just
Sure.
because we want to kind of get that, unless, Tom, do you have any information on anything from an engineering perspective?
I don't in this intersection. I haven't heard of, I took a look at for the site distances. It seemed appropriate for the site distances. I'm not sure if we did a study. I would have to refer back to Bob on traffic studies. I didn't look to see if there's any accident data. Maybe that's something we should look at too as part of it.
I did pull what I had in our database
Yeah.
from 2019 to 2023.
Yeah.
It's pretty even across the board with the side streets coming out of Great Plain Avenue.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the ones that are obvious would be higher. Central, Chapel, Chestnut. Greendale have, 12, 10. Chestnut has 5. Greendale has 5. Linden has 5. Maple has 4. So they're all right in there. This particular intersection is at 4 from 2019 to 2023.
Okay.
That data might sound low to you. Part of it is because anything it has to be $1,000 or more in damage to be reported to us. So
totally
it's likely that there were smaller ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of just the breakdown along Great Plain Avenue.
And we haven't had any issues in terms of nothing in terms of injuries, medical emergencies or anything that's.
I think one of the crashes, I don't know what year it was, had one reported injury.
That's.
I went that out this afternoon and saying side distance crossing Great Plain seemed to be pretty good. Although I think it is probably from the point of if you're crossing it north-south with the approach of the so call them westbound traffic. It's probably hard. One, you probably have to wait quite a bit to get across the street. Plus, there is no indication for pedestrians, no accommodations for pedestrians at all. So
There is that pole. There's a pole right there too.
yeah, there is a pole, yes. But side distance wise, now I don't know, given what the speed will be there at that spot. I mean, when we do the 85% now.
Yeah.
I don't know what will happen if that fits. If that fits the side distance, that fits the. So we probably have to look at that.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that.
I know we did the, I know Bob's not here, but I know we did the timing on the lights at Great Plain and Webster for Webster going towards Dedham Ave, because people were cutting out on Otis Street. would that have incorporated, would you have looked at all 4 cycles or just what we were particularly looking at?
You look at all the cycles, right?
So it would be
Yeah.
good to get the information on the timing of the light cycle, if that's something that could be
Yeah.
rectified.
Especially like if people are heading, heading east.
Yeah.
Yeah, heading east, and then, and it backs up the traffic, so I should say going around the traffic, may.
Is the view of the intersection? I think one of the issues you're gonna have, and it's not really something that's necessarily fixable, is we see all the time, people find workarounds.
Yeah.
So you're always gonna have people go Fair Oaks to get to the high school, because it's kind of the most direct route, avoiding
Definitely.
lights, and if they're going up, Admiral Gracie and things like that. So you will have a younger population potentially, less experienced drivers trying to make that dart across, and you do wait. I have waited there. Because I will go back to the station sometimes through Fair Oaks, because you avoid other things. So. It's. You probably do have more volume during those times. I think potentially fixing that light will cut down on the visibility issue. I don't know if I have another direct fix for you in my.
I didn't
my
know
thought
if
process.
putting a crosswalk on one side, which is just the appearance of a crosswalk, would encourage people to slow down as they're going through that intersection. I don't know.
This is like a school walking route.
Yeah, that's, I was gonna ask, is it considered a school walking? Are the roads plowed, does the school plow go by, does the sidewalk plow go by? You know,
On Great Plain, but I'm not sure about Fair Oaks.
My only hesitation with that would be where we're seeing at Great Plain Ave and Maple Street. If we start to throw more visual
Mhm.
in an intersection that seems busy already visually because of the median and cars trying to dart across. By throwing a crosswalk in, are we now throwing where you just kind of said people are looking at the lights ahead? Are we throwing another danger
Right,
out there that would create more of an issue than
Yeah.
already exists?
Because there is a crosswalk, one's a signalized crosswalk, one's a RRFB, basically to the right, to the left of this.
right.
Yeah, it's a signalized too.
Right, signalized to Webster, right, exactly, and that's, which obviously is the safest to cross, and then the RRFB is
Right.
the other one to the left, or towards center of town.
Can I ask, because it's so recent, and maybe you remember, what was the impetus for the Warren one? Was it more the traffic like going to the Y, or was it high school traffic, or was it?
It was what the amount of people parking on the opposite side and utilizing the Y.
Got it,
There was a high
Yeah.
volume of pedestrians specifically crossing there.
okay,
So that's why we did that one.
Yeah, and there wasn't one in between, you know, what I mean?
Right.
You're looking at where it was placed, it was
Yeah.
either going all the way down to, into downtown, or Webster
Yeah.
was the one, so I think that was where, because of the number of people crossing, that's it. So, I mean, I don't, we could certainly take a look and see what the count is, and but I don't know if a crosswalk is the right solution.
Yeah.
This is there's a lot to this intersection because of the divided.
yeah, I mean, I didn't even mention, we've seen people come the wrong way,
Oh, I'm
down
sorry.
our
Yeah,
side
yeah, okay,
of the
yeah.
street, but, some people do it by choice, it's a tricky intersection. I just didn't know if there's anything, that could make it a little safer.
I mean, I hesitate to, but, is there enough? If you're looking at the timing, do we need to put like a do not block intersection?
We got do not block the box.
Do not block the box, it's a $200 fine in Commonwealth, or $100 fine, you know what I mean, like it's.
You think it comes back this far, all the way? It is about 500 feet.
Right, so I don't know, I mean, that's something that we'll take a look at and see, and obviously the petitioner saying.
Again, it's mostly like that 7:15 to 8:15 time, and like 2:30 to 4, maybe. And it will come till the sidewalk, and there will be cars back. And they're usually really respectful about letting you out. It's more just, you have to like inch a little to go past that line of cars, and then, it's just it's hard, a little tricky to gauge the speed of how fast the cars are coming across the Webster Lake.
Yeah, I think we should take a look at the signal timing. I'll have Bob take a look at that, make sure it's in line with the regulations, make sure.
I'm sorry if I just don't understand. What is, when you say signal
The
timing?
signal down on Webster Street.
Yeah.
And see, make sure that the timing is correct for, you know, it
So like
should.
they're not
the
waiting
phase-
too
Yeah,
long?
the phases should change during the
Okay,
day,
okay.
and then,
I would suspect that at that time of day, it's people turning left to go to the high school to do drop-offs that are
That's backing it up.
backing it up because,
Right, and that's
yeah,
one thing about that
Yeah.
intersection is it should be a lagging green, or it should, you know, there should be some sort of phase that would allow cars to should go north from off Webster, take left off Webster. You know what I mean? And that's one thing that doesn't allow because it's
Right.
synchronous, so there should be.
Mhm.
And that's involving, you know, some, I don't even know if that signal has the capabilities of you know, doing multiple, you know. So
I would, yeah, I don't think these would.
Is it actuated? Is it actuated? I mean, there's no fixed time.
Yeah, I actually, there might be traffic loops out there, yeah.
Okay. So it's actually.
well, thank you for your consideration and thank you for thinking on it on behalf of my neighbors and myself, but we totally, I think it's a tricky spot. So I don't know what the right answer is, but I appreciate your time.
When we talked about, what we'll do is we'll put this on the agenda also, just to kind of discuss this under old business for next time, so that we can have Bob give us a little context of any history or any previous studies, because maybe there is something to do with some sort of sign, you know, some sort of advisory sign. That either indicates that there's an intersection here, you know, or some sort of slope, you know, something like that. But I will, I don't want to do that until we have a little bit more information from our technical advisor. I
Okay.
apologize. Here. This
That's okay.
normally feels a really good, tells a really good story about the history of something, so it allows us to be able to do the appropriate actions.
So I can follow up with you.
Great.
Any further development.
Thank you so much.
I'll see when the latest traffic study that we have on it is.
Perfect, okay. Yeah, so we can do, under old business, we'll do an update on this for next, for next time. We need to bring up any more discussion.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And then I guess the last item on the agenda, you know, I wanted to have a discussion with regards, this might have to be tabled because I thought Ray was going to be here, but fortunately he's having vacation in Florida. So good for him, bad for us. So I did come across, I had a further conversation with a resident who's also a friend of mine with regards to Jackie. She came to us a couple months ago with regards to speeding on Dedham Ave and just the speed management. The Commonwealth does allow a removal, a rescinding of a speed zone, and would allow and has a pathway to allow for a speed to fall back to the de facto speed limit, which along Dedham Ave is considered thickly settled, so 30 miles an hour. So that would be, I think, I think the quickest pathway toward the reduction of speed, marked speed, posted speed. There's an enforcement perspective, obviously, because we all know that the speed limit's 40 miles an hour. 48 is really tolerated, where if it's a 30-mile-an-hour speed, maybe 38, 40 is really tolerated. There's a threshold because obviously, you know, the actual speed is hard to enforce the fifth. So I just kind of welcome this as a point to discuss. I think probably it's premature to have a vote, considering we only have 5 people here, and I want to have at least some, you know, some of the other members around. But my desire was to have a vote on this tonight to see if we would recommend to the select board to rescind that speed zone, but consider our participation. Like I said, we can hold that But certainly I want to give an opportunity for any of the committee members that are here to discuss that speed zone.
Right, so I did have a meeting with some group from MassDOT, and they referred me to another traffic engineer in MassDOT. So they know about the law change, and they're still trying to figure out how it fits in with, you know, the approval process, especially when it Denton Ave's a state numbered road as well.
Right.
So they referred me in that direction.
Okay.
But they seem to think it still requires a traffic study. I don't know if that's true or not. That's the direction they will think.
Yep. Okay.
And in the meanwhile, we're engaged with an engineering firm that is looking at traffic calming measures to start up with, because the state is preparing to pave this section from 95 all the way to just past School Street, just past Warren Street. Yeah, so we
Okay.
go all the way. So
That'll be a fun project.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we're kind of scrambling around to make sure that that we can update, you know, the accessibility locations, crosswalks, and the curbing.
Yeah.
And see if we can implement any traffic.
Did they say when what's the timing of that project?
It looks like it's probably coming next fall, in the fall.
Okay.
Next fall.
That's fine. So I will, and Tess, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that just making it a speed change without any geometric changes, I think is not going to make the maximum benefit out of it. We really should change the geometry, or as you say, in traffic calming, or because otherwise it's still going to be the feeling of the road for regular passing vehicles, and nothing has changed. We still feel very comfortable with that. But I noticed was driving by there is that there are advisory speeds out there 20 miles per hour. And I don't know how that coincides.
Is that the phase?
It's 20, yeah, well, it's 25 as soon as you
I
come.
noticed one direction was 20, I believe northbound.
Oh, maybe that, so the one right after the advisory tab out beyond the bridge, the MTA bridge going
Oh, yeah.
out, I believe was 25. And if you think about that, like there was some sort of study that said this is a target speed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't just
Yeah.
don't slap 25. And that's where I maybe having Bob and to have a historical context on this. But you bring a good point. There is advisory signage that's significantly lower than the posted speed limit. And so that's almost counterintuitive. And but we do have roads that are wider that
Yeah,
are
sure.
that are
Sure.
slower.
But this is straight as an arrow.
No, agreed.
The geometry
That's
really
true.
fits itself, to go, it's very comfortable to drive 40 miles an hour or more. So you should do something.
I mean, that's true, or speed zone, honestly. That was the other thing is
Yeah.
safety zone. Because of Bethesda, because of kids that are crossing the street from,
Sure.
they're parking on the side streets, which we know they came to the committee on that, but they're parking there, they're crossing the streets, and we do have kids that are doing that. The road is a little, I think 40 miles an hour next to a school, I mean, essentially a town playground and field is probably a little bit fast, but
I think once we start seeing some concept plans, they're going to be more like paint markings and
Yeah.
bring it to the committee and see. So we're engaged with the engineer firm just for concept plans, not for a full design. We don't have the funding to do a full design, so it's going to be more like, this is going to be in paint. So no specifications other than narrowing the paint. And then perhaps we can look at putting in curbing
Mhm.
or other measures, signage, stuff.
Yeah, curbing road by itself will probably help too.
Yeah.
Because again, it constraints the visual part of it being less wide road and
Yes.
less constraints on the other side.
You put it, yeah.
So, and I think that from the point, I don't know where we are considering changing it, but I don't know what the street name is, but the most subtly signalized intersection, that's a
So-
good point to start out.
South of Denver.
Probably, yeah,
So they were looking at that as like, if you, so the town owns on on the where the PSAP building is, the old parcel's right across the street. So they're saying, well, if you can widen that intersection a little bit, you could maybe do a little roundabout
oh, yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Instead, because we're looking at traffic signalization in the future, fixing that area up. But maybe that would be a traffic calming too.
Sure.
All right.
Future thoughts.
So what we'll do is we'll table this and have this discussed again on old business when, to see what what other participants in the committee feel.
Clarification, Tom, you said that the project was scheduled for next fall. Do you mean fall 2024? Or do you mean this fall coming up 2023?
This fall coming up. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
fall 2023.
Yeah, that's short notice. Yeah. So we're scrambling to get it.
Any input, I think?
If we're gonna do if you're gonna lower the speed and we do an educational campaign, it might be good to coincide it with mascots paving.
Mhm.
That way it looks like new road, new speed limit all at once as
That's fine.
as opposed to parceling it. And then, like I said, if we posted 30, hopefully we'll get 40.
No, and it could very well be that if we're going to go through that process, and it's long enough that perhaps we would go through an engineering study and propose to do a 35.
Right.
You know what I mean, at that point, because this was obviously one of the advantages of this tool, which apparently the Commonwealth isn't aware of it, but it's plain in their site. Specifically, it says that a engineering study is not required and drop down. Obviously, I'm sure that legislature does one thing and then DOT scrambles around to figure out how to operationalize it. But nonetheless, if we have that point that we can wait to the fall, then we could perhaps see if the engineering study will say that 35 is sufficient or whether 30 is sufficient, whatever it may be. And we just do a 30-mile-an-hour speed zone, not necessarily thickly settled, but just a posted 30 mile. So that's okay, that's fine. Anything else? Donna, did you have any comment?
No, I'm good.
Wanted to give an opportunity. So, yeah, I think that's it. There was one other thing from a previous item was Warren Street. Do you know about Warren? Yeah, it was that we did maybe we would paint it or anything.
Junction.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so Bob Wilson is putting together information. I just don't have.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we'll push that one. Okay,
So he's,
all right.
so he's doing a few locations around town for.
Perfect. Awesome. So unless there's anything else, any other business, we can, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. And we'll let the motion to adjourn. Anyone have a second? Second, Mr. Ryder. All in favor?
Aye.
Right, we are adjourned. Thank you, Donna.
Just Donna.